Hey there! Ever stop to wonder what's really going on inside tools like ChatGPT or Gemini? You know, that invisible engine that can whip up an email, a poem, or even a chunk of code in seconds? Well, today we're going to pop the hood and unbox that very engine, the large language model.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll nail down what an LMM actually is. Then, we're taking a peek inside to see what puts the large in its name. After that, we'll get into how it learns, what it's great at versus where it falls short. And finally, we'll see how this tech is already changing, well, pretty much everything.
All right, let's get right into it. Part 1. What in the world is this machine that's behind all the magic?
I mean, think about it. You've probably used one of these already today. You ask a question, and boom, a surprisingly human-like answer just appears. So what's the secret sauce? What's the one piece of tech making them all tick? Well, the answer is right there in the name, the Large Language Model, or LLM for short. At its core, it's a super advanced kind of AI that's been built specifically to get, to generate, and even to reason with language just like we do. It's basically the brain that's powering the conversation.
Okay, so we've got the language model part down, but what about the large? What makes it so big? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the two things that give it its scale: data and parameters.
It really all comes down to two absolutely massive ingredients. The sheer size of these two things is what makes an LLM a whole different beast compared to older AI. First, you have the data. And we're not talking about a few encyclopedias here. We are talking about an unimaginable amount of information. Millions of books, articles, countless websites, pretty much a huge slice of the internet, all fed to the AI as its textbook. The second ingredient? Parameters. The easiest way to think about these is as billions and sometimes even trillions of tiny little knobs inside the AI's network. Each knob gets tuned during training and helps it figure out the relationships between words and ideas. So bottom line, the more parameters you have, the more complex and nuanced its understanding can be. So how does it actually use all that stuff to write a response? It's kind of a three-step dance. First, it reads what you wrote by chopping it up into little bits called tokens. Then, it uses this really cool trick called an attention mechanism to figure out which of those words are the most important for understanding what you're asking. And finally, based on all that, it just makes a prediction. It predicts the most likely word to come next, and then the next word after that, and the next, stringing them all together to build its answer. And this right here is probably the most crucial thing to remember. LLMs do not think. They don't have feelings, they don't have beliefs. They are incredibly powerful prediction machines. They're just making highly educated guesses based on the patterns they saw in all that training data. It's all statistics, not actual consciousness. So how does an LLM go from being just a bunch of code to this powerhouse of language? Well, it isn't born smart. It has to be trained. You can really think of it like sending an AI to a super accelerated school, one with 3 main semesters. The first stage is called pre-training. This is like its elementary school, where it just learns the basic rules of language by playing fill-in-the-blank on a massive scale. Then it moves on to fine-tuning, which is kind of like its high school. This is where it learns to be genuinely useful and to follow specific instructions. And the final stage is something called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. Think of this as finishing school where real people give it feedback, teaching it to be more helpful, to avoid harmful answers, and just generally have better manners. Okay, so we know how it's built and how it learns. Now for the really practical part, the user manual. What are the incredible things this tool can do? And more importantly, what's the fine print we absolutely need to know about?
And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? On one side, the capabilities are just amazing. I mean, generating text, translating languages in real time, writing and fixing code, solving really tricky problems, it's a game changer. But, and this is a huge but, you have to be aware of the limitations. They can be completely and confidently wrong, something people call hallucinations. They don't actually understand the world. Their knowledge base has a cutoff date, so they can be outdated. And because they learn from human data, they can pick up our biases too. So, knowing all of its incredible strengths and its serious weaknesses, where is this whole revolution actually happening? How is this tool being put to work in the real world right now? Honestly, you're seeing them pop up everywhere. You've got the obvious ones, right? Chatbots and AI assistants. But they're also being used for content creation, for summarizing long reports, as personal tutors for students. Developers use them every day with tools like Copilot, and they're even being used to analyze business trends and spot security threats. The list is huge, and it's getting longer literally every day.
So we've unboxed the LLM. And if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that an LLM is a tool. It's an incredibly powerful tool, for sure, but it's not a mind. It doesn't understand. It predicts. It doesn't have its own goals. It just follows our instructions. And just like any tool, whether it's a hammer or a computer, its ultimate impact really depends on us, the people using it. Which leaves all of us with a pretty big question. What are we going to build with it?